Hey everyone. I want to take a moment to let you guys know of some traveling that I'm doing, and I would love to meet up with everyone and see everyone. In Chattanooga, I'm going to be here this coming November 3rd and 4th. I believe that's the Saturday and Friday. I will be there for Blackout Fest. I would love for everyone to come, hang out, and I would love to climb with you, see you. I'm also going to be back in Chattanooga December 13th through the 16th for the Indoor Climbing Expo. If you haven't got your ticket already, use the code Mario20 and get $20 off your ticket for the Indoor Climbing Expo. Come see me, come say hello, listen to my chat, listen to my roundtable, and just come and holla at your boy. I just wanted to drop that info, and there's also a little bit of information coming on at the very end. Stay for the Easter egg. Check it out. Friends and enemies, lovers and haters, welcome to Sends and Suffers podcast. I am your host, Mario Stanley. If you haven't already, please follow, like, and subscribe to Sends and Suffers podcast. Every bit counts, and we would love to hear from you. So take a moment to leave a comment. These go a long way and help others know what they're getting into and how good this show is. If this is one of your favorite podcasts, consider becoming a Patreon. For as little as $5 a month, you are investing in Sends and Suffers podcast, and it's like buying your boy a taco, hanging out, and getting to know the good that is coming your way. Monthly recaps, early show releases, and all the other cool things that we do. Thank you so much for listening to Sends and Suffers podcasts. The official sponsor of Sends and Suffers podcast is Organic Climbing. Go to their website, use Sends and Suffers to get a discount on chalk bags, chalk buckets, everything they have on their website. And I will tell you right now, one of the reasons why I love organic is tried and true. Let me tell you, when I am falling from the heavens above on my highball boulder, I trust nothing with my ankles but an organic crash pad. Y'all know I love these things. I ain't gonna trust these things on nobody else. All right, I'm out of here before I go crazy. But holla at your boys, because they help this podcast, and yeah, we just try to make sure it goes around, comes around. All right. Today, my guest is Alex, one of the owners of Ascension Climbing Gym and an OG climber in the Pittsburgh area. We talk about building, we talk about the history of Pittsburgh climbing, the gyms, and really just the rise of why Pittsburgh is this monster of climbing culture. And it was the perfect place for the CWA to host their last conference. Enjoy the episode with Alex. We are set. Alex, how are you today?
I'm doing all right. I probably should have gone to bed a little earlier last night, but
I think we all should have. By my third glass of inexpensive wine, I can tell by the wine over in the morning. I woke up this morning, I was like, this is what I get for drinking cheap wine. Next time, bring your own.
We all make mistakes. I mean, I had fun last night. I got to meet you. So, it's a win.
Yeah, last night was definitely a win-win. It was a great time. So Alex, first and foremost, thanks for being my guest on my show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm happy you're here. Who are you? Where are you from? And why are you here at CWA?
So we're in Pittsburgh right now, right? This is the first time the Climbing Wall Association Summit has left the mountains of the West. Mm-hmm. And I'm a Pittsburgher, and I own with a couple of partners and operate 2 climbing gyms here in Pittsburgh. So, a dream I had 13 years ago, and we opened our first location in 2017, has now come in 2023 to this interesting confluence, both literally a stone's throw from where 3 rivers actually meet. So the confluence of 3 rivers, but my professional life and my personal life, I don't know, this isn't the total culmination for forever, but this massive event that is my industry is in my hometown, and it's pretty wild.
That's pretty awesome. I didn't really think about like the culmination of all of that. Like literally the epicenter of all things rock climbing in a commercial sense is literally in your backyard, or no, actually in your front yard.
Yeah, it's both, exciting and scary that, we're getting judged by the entire climbing industry.
Oh, okay. Why do you feel like that?
I mean, every climbing gym you walk into, you judge it.
Yeah, a little bit. A little bit. I mean, I'd be lying if I said I didn't.
And, everybody who has built, awesome climbing gyms around the world, and probably more so just in the US here, they're coming through our doors this week. We're throwing a party on Friday that I hope, everybody attends and says, awesome job, guys.
I think, I've heard about this actually. Yeah. Cause there's one is it a competing gym tonight? Is that
Correct.
Yours?
Yep.
Ironworks?
Iron City Boulders.
Iron City Boulders. And then you guys is tomorrow night, and you guys basically wrap up the event. So
That's correct.
Yeah. You're the closing party. Yeah. Big.
No pressure.
Yeah, none whatsoever. So, tell me, so I've asked a little bit around about like what's outdoor rock climbing and what's available here. And, everyone's basically says, well, if you want to rock climb, you just go to the new because it's so close. But like, there has to be a little bit of local rock climbing, or the reason why I ask is like, is there a little bit of something a little closer? If not, like, how did the gyms really come to be? Like, has there always been a strong climbing community here? Like, how did this come to be? How did this happen?
So I would say, I think it was 1991 or 1992. One of the first commercial climbing gyms in the US was in Pittsburgh. It was called the Climbing Wall. And I don't really know their origin story in terms of what got them into it, but there are a lot of Pittsburghers who have been longtime climbers that, climbed with Chenard in Yosemite back in the day. I don't know how that happened, but it created an interesting climbing community here. And I think, the new is certainly a place that is really easily accessible for us, but there are also, some that are like legit sanctioned places that you can climb in southwestern Pennsylvania. Some that are, kind of on somebody's private property somewhere that they don't know they have this beautiful cliff that people can go to, and it might only be 30 feet tall, but it's something.
Yeah.
So just like there are climbing gyms in Florida, and there are certainly no mountains in Florida. Like,
yes.
People experienced it somewhere and they wanted to do it here. In a really cool arc, though. There's a nonprofit in southwestern Pennsylvania called the Southwestern Pennsylvania Climbers Coalition that one of my partners was one of the founding members of, and SWPAC, as we lovingly call it, because otherwise it's a mouthful. And that sounds like SWPAC, like a noise you'd make while climbing, making
or I watch reading a comic magazine, and something that Batman makes a sound when he slaps someone.
Totally. Yeah.
I'm into that.
They're working on it. We've called it Climb Pittsburgh, but basically like this city has 400 plus bridges, right? And a lot of those bridges have these beautiful sandstone block piers, and there's big sandstone retaining walls on the sides of roads in town. And they've started bolting some of these urban structures, and
let me rock climb.
Yeah. So, it's a really cool initiative. The city has been very generous lately, like letting us actually do, work with the Access Fund and work on, places to stand actually at the base of some of these retaining walls, so that we're not just, standing in poison ivy and kind of, they've given us a pretty good nod on this. I really don't know the ins and outs of it, but
that's still cool. That's like, it's not for a city that doesn't have rock climbing in it right away, for them to embrace it. It seems like, from what you're saying, like the city of Pittsburgh in general is like very forward thinking, very forward moving. For the grand scheme of things, because like in Texas they would beat up in arms like that, like, unless, like, what do you mean you don't want to hit a baseball or throw a football? And it's kind of like, well, there's other things to do. And I think it's really cool that that's a cool thing. So is it already established? Can someone just like go and do this now?
Some of it, yeah. There's we can't exactly see it through these windows, but there's this beautiful hillside that you can kind of take a glimpse of right there.
Okay.
One of the main roads that cuts across there has these big sandstone retaining walls, and you can top rope on these walls today if you wanted to, and like look at the river and look at downtown.
Are they sport climbable or only top ropeable?
I think they're only top ropeable. But honestly, I haven't been there in 2 years. I had a baby last year. So
congratulations.
Thank you. Life got a little complicated.
Well, when you bring someone into the world, your whole perspective changes.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But Pittsburgh has been very forward thinking, and I've had a lot of conversations lately with other groups. Like there's a group whose mission is to revitalize the riverfronts. So Pittsburgh is like a city on the water, but the railroads own the land essentially between the river and like anything habitable because they had to move, coal and whatever around.
That makes sense.
And a lot of this is like getting reclaimed. And so we're able to activate the riverfront more and create trails for people. And a lot of these trails go right past these bridge piers. And so I get to sit here and say to somebody who says like, hey, we're going to get more people walking and biking on these trails. And I was like, we could get people climbing right next to the people who are walking and biking and activate these dark spaces underneath these bridges in like a brand new light. And their minds are blown that there's yet another way to, activate these urban structures. It's pretty cool.
I'm not going to lie. Like I already wanted to come back and visit Pittsburgh for some other reasons. And mainly it's just to like rock climb in your gyms and devour your food and not become like 400 pounds. But now I think this is cool. This is by far one of the coolest things I've seen as a city initiative. I'm sure it happens one or two other places in the country, but never it seems like it's happening on this massive of a scale, which Pittsburgh being the city that it is. I mean, you guys are made out of just like iron and giant structures all over it. Like it's like from a photography standpoint of view and an architectural standpoint of view, like just walking around the city at night and during the early mornings taking photos has been amazing.
So many different materials.
And it's gorgeous. And the masonry work is gorgeous. But just to see now that like you're having that be a part of it. And so I'm assuming the climbing community obviously is embracing this. Are there just local route developers that are a part of this process, or are they the route setters that are in the gym that are
It's definitely a mix.
Okay.
This nonprofit, who is comprised of some of the most inspired and committed outdoor climbers in southwestern Pennsylvania, they're the ones that want to create this access, right, and ensure it. They're people who know what they're doing. They want to share this. One of the guys, this guy Mike Varlotta, who's a longtime climber friend.
Okay.
I think this guy has like legitimately introduced half of Pittsburgh to climbing. Like he's such a giving and inspiring person. And he's one of the people who have, developed these areas, and he just wants to share climbing with people. And he wants people to be able to walk from their house to this urban crag, right? As opposed to, getting in it. You have to have a car to drive to the new. You got to have all this gear. Like this is, this is access to climbing that people deserve.
Yeah, no, I mean, this is like one of the coolest things, and my mind is just exploding with all these ideas because like, everywhere else, it's like, okay, how are we going to get kids? How are we going to get underprivileged communities? How are we going to get this? How are we going to get this people, old people, young people, green people? How are we going to get them all to climbing? And it's like, well, why don't we just bring the climbing to them? Yeah. And I think that's just like this unique thing that you have. It sounds like you have so much here that like, I don't know if this exists anywhere else. The fact of the matter that you can just bring climbing to them, and genuine climbing, genuine outdoor climbing, genuine things that still give you the same experience that you would have outdoors, traveling to the new, traveling to the red, to Seneca Rock or to wherever you want to go. And the fact of the matter, you can have that here in the city. Now I'm like, I just like want to go urban climb everything that you have this bolted here. Like,
I know you're leaving and you got to get back to Texas, but this is like a sort of a CWA summit event on Saturday. Is this nonprofit is showing people around these urban crags. So if you don't have to jet so early on Saturday,
we'll definitely talk a little bit more about this. Yeah. And when we get off mic, but I would like to turn the gears shift gears a little bit more to your climbing gyms.
Sure.
And like, why did you in particularly, and you decided to get your friends together? Or was it someone else? But like, why did you guys already decide to bring a gym here? Was there already existing climbing gyms here? Did you feel like they weren't meeting the need, or there just needed to be more options? Like there's a million reasons why people open up a gym, and I'd like to know your 1,000,001. Yeah,
kind of all the things, right? Like, so this gym opened in 1991, and I started climbing in 2005, I want to say. A friend of mine at this gym, the Climbing Wall, got a 10 punch pass from his grandparents for Christmas. And took a bunch of us and we all got hooked. You know, anybody, honestly, like the first time you try climbing, yeah, it kind of sucks and your hands hurt and you probably, you know, messed up the skin on your hands, but you just want to do it again. And so I just wanted to keep doing it and I kept doing it and I took a little bit of a break. And my sister in the meanwhile had moved out to San Francisco. And so I got to visit some of the gyms out there and I just thought, why doesn't Pittsburgh have this? Right. Yeah. Like we should have big modern facilities with more amenities than just bouldering. Right. Mm-hmm. And so kind of came back with a dream and it took a long time to actually bring it to fruition, but really I just, we knew this worked in other places. We knew there were climbers in Pittsburgh and, I also just didn't really want to work for somebody else. Like I had this, not to go crazy off topic, but I was studying linguistics in Austria of all things. And, one night I was talking to my roommate who was a pretty cerebral guy and the light bulb just went off for me of like, I want to do something tangible. Like I want people to come into my business and have a good time and smile and tell their friends and interact with it and not just like sit at a desk and get a paycheck kind of a thing. Yeah. And like, I'm lucky that we pulled this off and we've been able to live this dream, thanks to friends and family and a lot of supportive Pittsburghers who helped us open the first gym. Since then, we're on our third gym now. We're working on a fourth later this year.
Whoa.
That might be it. We'll see.
Yeah, keep going. Dallas has like 9 or 10 gyms within the DFW area and more are coming. So
there's a lot. I mean, how many people do you think live in Pittsburgh?
I mean, in this dense of a city, just looking around, I don't know. I'd say maybe close to 2 million.
300,000 people.
What? That's it?
The population of like Metro Pittsburgh or like actual city of Pittsburgh is like 320, something like that.
That's it?
Yeah.
It looks like there would be more people here.
No, there's a lot of hills and it's complicated. Like you don't see the horizon here. You see, houses on that hillside and it's a big city that isn't actually that big. And so, I appreciate the keep going mentality, but there is a point at which
fair enough. Yeah, that brings the question is like when is climbing oversaturated in a city? And like we ask that question in Dallas all the time, and it's like you have more gyms come, and everyone's like, oh, there's not going to have any business, and then these gyms are all sold out, and like they're packed every week. So this podcast is called Sends and Suffers, and so what was I imagine the send is opening the gym. What was the biggest suffer? What was the biggest struggle or the hurdles you think is you and your team collectively had to work through in getting your gyms open?
That's a really good question that I think has a lot of answers. Some of them are probably more on the personal side than the business side. That really? Being an entrepreneur takes a lot of time and, I think it has all worked out, but actually having a baby last year and having to slow down and, really participate in that because we made an active choice to bring a kid to the world. It really showed to me like how much I kind of took my wife for granted early on in the project where if I needed to work on a Saturday, I just worked on a Saturday. And that was, in a lot of ways, like disrespectful to her time. And, I probably wasn't the best partner I could have been in that relationship. So I think it's hard work and it requires a lot of time and attention, no matter how big your team is. Like you gotta keep your eye on it. So, definitely on the personal side, like I'm tired.
Yeah.
I'm having a good time, but at some point I want to really send it and, get to, reap the benefits of, all this time and effort. I think for our team, it's been a pretty good run. The pandemic is like a thing we could certainly talk about, but everybody kind of suffered through that.
Yeah. I mean, some survived, some didn't.
Yeah. I mean, just like everybody, literally like every, human American,
you name it.
Yeah. Something didn't go right in the last few years. Yeah. And it was definitely tough for us, as a business that, got shut down for 3 months and, then, people don't want to be in indoor spaces, close to other people.
Yeah, that's fair. This city is so tightly compact. I can only imagine during that process, it was just, people were just going Looney Tune. Like Dallas, Texas, like even though it's a big city, it's still a little spread out. But like, I mean, that's one of the things I love about being here. This is so walkable. Like I parked my car and I just now that I got everything set up, I was like, I haven't moved it in like 2 days. And I'm like, I have no intention to move it whatsoever if I don't have to.
Yeah. And you've only explored a fraction of what Pittsburgh has to offer probably at this point.
Oh, barely anything. I mean, anything I can walk within an hour radius is all I've ever seen so far. And I know there's so much more to this area.
Yeah. It's, I mean, I'm from here originally, so I'm obviously biased, but I think Pittsburgh, is really one of the best cities in the world. Could our public transit be better? Hell yeah.
That's a quintessential problem across America.
Could the air quality see some upgrades? Certainly. But, this is a town of really friendly people, these neighborhoods that all have individual character, and, every neighborhood has a main street that, has its own vibe. It's a neat place. And that, one of the reasons why we opened up a second gym in Pittsburgh was to honestly give access to the other side of Pittsburgh that had to drive, a pretty far distance or take 2 buses to get to a big commercial facility. And some of those neighborhoods are definitely underserved in lots of other ways, not just with, a lack of climbing. But, we wanted to make it easier for people. Obviously there's a business opportunity there too.
But I mean, the nature of climbing is, once again, like making it accessible allows it. I mean, yes, this is a business. We're all here to make money. We're all here to like pay our bills. But I think ultimately, I don't know, I believe everybody in this room and here for CWA, even though that is definitely what we have to do, we're also all doing that under the pretense or the consent or the notion of, like, how do I just get people to see if they like this or not?
Yeah.
And it's like, because you're either going to love it or you hate it. Like, that's how I've introduced people to rock climbing. They either love it or they hate it. And even if they hate it, they still probably try it again once or twice. And then they figure out that they don't want to do it or they do want to do it. But I think it is important, as you said, like just making it accessible is a big key thing. And I can imagine like the same thing, even in a city that's so walkable, transportation or getting places is still a massive hurdle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People always say like, how far is this thing? And Pittsburghers always do distance in minutes. Like everybody's just like, 30 minutes. Everything in Pittsburgh is like 30 minutes, honestly, no matter how close it is on the map. Like the roads are narrow. There's 7-way intersections. Like things are complicated. It's not a grid. This isn't Dallas.
No. No.
And so like, it really is, we're sitting in downtown, right?
Mm-hmm.
The way the bus system works in the area is that they all just go into the center of town and then go back out. So if you're looking at a circle and you want to go from, one edge to the other, and, it looks like you could draw a little quick straight line on the perimeter, you got to go downtown, you got to transfer, you got to go to this other, go back out. And it's complicated. And so it's, it's never straightforward. And I think, Uber, Lyft, scooters, all of these things are like good additions to the fabric of transportation because it makes it more convenient for people. And like you can, you don't have to depend on an hour-long bus ride or something like that. Not that I don't want you to think I'm like a public transit aficionado.
No. I'm a big fan of public transportation, but I also understand as a person who's grown up using it a lot of his life, like it's not perfect. I'm happy it exists. Like don't take it away.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, it might not be something that I use all the time. It's like my bathroom. Like I don't use my toilet all the time, but I'd be pissed if you took it away.
Yeah.
So I need it there, but I definitely understand it could use some improvements. But on top of that, besides all that, like now actually speaking of public transit, are all your facilities near public transit, or is public transit well organized enough where if someone listening to this is like, oh, okay, I want to go try this gym. And what is the name of the gym again?
Ascend.
So if they want to go to an Ascend location, are they all pretty easy to get to?
Relatively, yeah.
Okay.
I think like traffic is your biggest, the biggest thing. Everybody wants to come at 5 p.m., but that's also when everybody's commuting home. So
yeah, that makes a rough go at it. So I guess for your personal story, like, you started climbing, your friend gave you a 10-punt pass. and are you still climbing a lot now? Is this still something, or since you've switched into ownership mode, is it like less or more? I mean, you're an owner of a gym, your dad, husband, and, a rock climber. And so like, how is the balance between all of those things going right now?
Poorly.
Okay.
On the suffer side, my climbing has suffered. Not only am I, when I go to the gym to climb, like somebody will ask me a question, or, it's a different experience for me with like employees and customers and everybody who would normally, just be doing their thing with a member. There's a lot of attention, I suppose, on someone like me in the facility. So like, a chill session doesn't happen very often. And, with life just being busy, like we used to climb outside a lot. We had way more time to go away on the weekends and go to the new and go to the red and go to the gunks. That just doesn't happen that much anymore, unfortunately. My wife is a climber, so that is super helpful to this equation. But we have a 15-month-old who is not a climber yet. She climbs, not rocks. She climbs lots of other things, but
she'll get there.
Yeah, we need to, she needs to grow up a little bit before we can start, really doing the things that we, we're doing pre her as a new, 3-person unit. So, but yeah, it is the irony is never lost on me that like I got really hooked on climbing. I wanted to share it with other people. And in doing so, I've like subtracted it from my life a little bit. And like the benefits I always tout to people of like, it makes you feel good. You get physically fit. It's good for, your mental health. Like sometimes I don't even get to benefit from those things, which is a real bummer.
Yeah. And it definitely sucks. I also think it's just one of those things like, I heard this from a man in Israel. One time he had opened the first climbing gym in Israel. And, and he said, it's a very hard truth. He was like, someone or everyone has to step back from climbing a little bit in order to make it more accessible for everyone. He's like, it's not that I never get to climb. It's not that I won't ever start climbing again, but I do understand my role in all of this. And I do understand that like, it's my job to make this accessible. And the only way that's going to happen is if I'm just not doing it as much,
for sure,
making it accessible.
I mean, we're humans, right? So I got to complain about something, but I stand by my choice to, do what I did. And, I just hope, the scales can balance out a little bit better in the not too distant future for me.
So what are you hoping to take away from CWA in your time here? And also, what are you hoping that CWA can gain and give to your community?
I mean, the summit for me is a lot of, there are educational sessions that definitely have value. And if I take one thing away from one educational session, I feel, really justified in being here. Right. A lot of this though is hanging out with my industry peers and maintaining relationships with vendors that we have to talk to regularly and that we, they really are our partners in all of this. And chatting with my industry pals is, often more beneficial than, one of the educational sessions on a topic that is, not exactly tailored to what I'm dealing with or what I need help with. So I really appreciate this, like this coming together of everybody in the industry. And when you get to, see people you talk to regularly, obviously meet new people and create new relationships, like, it's also a cool reminder of, I don't know, like, I sit in front of my computer most days for my job at a climbing gym. And, it's on this occasion that I get to like, celebrate a little bit and, talk shop, but like, congratulate each other. It's just like, it's good to be around, similar people. And, the CWA has been, pretty helpful like over time, just with educational materials and policies and procedures and sort of helping us, we have a gym in Ohio and like the CWA before we opened this gym, really helped the Ohio legislature, like, create good written codified law related to climbing gyms and operations. And
I did not know that.
So, they're kind of our lobbying arm in a lot of ways too. I don't really have a specific ask for the CWA when it comes to our community, but, I want to bring climbing to more and more people. And I think Americans, anybody deserves climbing.
Yeah.
And if the CWA can help us do that through, the right vendor partnerships, and I'm not saying like discounts and things like that, but,
there are other creative ways to do this. Yeah.
So, I'm glad they're here. It's weird that it's in my hometown right now. But it is cool to, show this place off and, get to meet you.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited that you came out and allowed me to chat with you for a little bit.
Yeah.
I know you've got some classes and some photos and things, and we're just cooking and moving here. I would love to, when I come back in the town, not for when the CWA is here, obviously, to sit down and have a little bit longer form conversation with you and
anytime
chat and climb in your gyms. If people want to find you in your gyms online and support you guys or come and visit, how can they do that?
Ascend Climbing Gym is, usually our like Instagram, Twitter handle. I want to say, I think that's it. Again, I'm Alex Bernstein. I'm not super findable. I think I have a private Instagram account. I'm not really, I'm a consumer, not a producer.
Fair enough.
But, come to Pittsburgh, check us out. I think I do think we do a pretty awesome job for the community.
And then is there anybody you want to give a shout out to, a thanks to say hello to?
I would be a little, of course, I mentioned my wife, being very supportive in all of this. She is very excited that I'm sitting here talking with you because we're currently watching The Climb on Max, I believe they call it these days, or just HBO. I don't even know.
Whatever it is, HBO. It's all the same.
But my mother, Ellie, she was the first person that I was like, hey, let's sit down and write a business plan to, open a climbing gym. She's literally member number 001 in the system.
Oh,
and
wow.
she's, she was a catalyst for a lot of this. So
that's awesome.
Quick shout out to Mom, of course.
Moms save the world. I'd be honest with you. Moms are like, I was literally talking to my mother on the way here. She's giving me all these ideas, and my mom is basically definitely, my mother and my father both have a good relationship in both, but my mom is always the one where I'm like, Mom, I need to know if this is stupid. And then she was like, it's dumb, but you'll probably pull it off because you're the only one I know who can pull off some dumb stuff. But I'm like, thanks, Mom.
Yeah, you got to get the like support sandwich of like, I love you and you're amazing at everything you do. Are you sure you really want to do this? But you'll probably do it pretty well.
Yeah.
So.
That's like ultimate. Your parent wisdom is coming in strong. I can see it. Well, thank you so much for your time, and I appreciate you, and I look forward to chatting with you some more.
Yeah, likewise.
Friends and enemies, lovers and haters, I hope you enjoyed the episode with Alex. It was great to reminisce about my time at the CWA, which is an amazing event. Friends and enemies, lovers and haters, I hope you enjoyed this episode with Alex. It was awesome to reminisce about this time in CWA. It is an amazing event, and it's also happening in Oregon this year. So check it out. Now, the Easter egg. As some of you know, Genevieve Walker, Scott, Liz Adendi, and myself were in Malawi, Africa, mentoring a community that is growing and thriving and helping them to take ownership over climbing that has been established in their country for the last 40 years. We filmed the documentary, we bootstrapped it, we pulled it together. This is about that story, the struggles that it made to happen, the struggles that it was there, the triumphs, the joy, the love, and it is going to be an amazing piece of art. We're going to do our best. Now, if you want to see an early cut, got to join the Patreon. That's the only way you'll be able to see it. If you're interested in supporting the documentary, please reach out. We are definitely looking for places to show it, climbing gyms, gear shops, you name it, your mom's backyard to your local climbing community. It will not be released to the general public right away. Other than that, that's all I got. Please remember to follow, like, subscribe, do all of those things, leave a comment. And remember, if you're not suffering, are you even sending it all? Audio.